Bhagavad-gita As It Is. Let's see. You've got 1 out of 2. That's probably okay, yeah? Good. Chapter 16, text 17. Self-complacent and always impudent, deluded by wealth and false prestige, they sometimes proudly perform sacrifices in name only, without following any rules or regulations. How are we doing on climate control here? Is it going to be a little stuffy without the AC?
Well, we turned it off for you, Marge. But
Yeah, I think it's going to be too much.
Can we put it on a little low?
Yeah, let's put it on low.
Okay.
Otherwise, everyone's going to feel
Thank you.
uncomfortable. There it is. On the purport. Thinking themselves all in all, not caring for any authority or scripture, the demoniac sometimes perform so-called religious or sacrificial rites. And since they do not believe in authority, they're very impudent. This is due to illusion caused by accumulating some wealth and false prestige. Sometimes such demons take up the role of preacher, mislead the people, and become known as religious reformers or as incarnations of God. They make a show of performing sacrifices, or they worship the demigods, or manufacture their own god. Common men advertise them as God and worship them, and by the foolish, they're considered advanced in the principles of religion or in the principles of spiritual knowledge. They take the dress of the renounced order of life and engage in all nonsense in that dress. Actually, there are so many restrictions for one who has renounced this world. The demons, however, do not care for such restrictions. They think that whatever path one can create is one's own path. There's no such thing as a standard path one has to follow. The word avidhi purvakam, meaning a disregard for the rules and regulations, is especially stressed here. These things are always due to ignorance and illusion. Om Ganatimirandhasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurn Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhistam Sthapitam Jena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam Datati Shapadantikam Vandehang Shri Guru Shri Jatapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Shagrajatam Shahagana Raganatan Vitam Stam Sujivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Shahagana Lalita Sri Vishakhan Vitamstra Hey Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kamshana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hodi Priye Vancha Kolpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindho Pyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Atma Sambhavita Stabdha Dhana Mana Madam Vataha Yajante Nama Yagyaiste Damhena Vidipurvakam. And I just remembered that I should put my phone on silent mode. Done. The theme of the demons is independence. The theme of the devotee is dependence and service, and the non-devotee is independence and mastery and self-centeredness. This is the distinction. Atma Sambhavita. Sambhavita. That's an interesting word. Let's look that one up, in fact. If I have time. Let's see if I can do it quickly. Already close. Let's see if we find something. No, it's probably under some blue. My dictionary is unhappy on the phone today. But the meaning probably gives us self-complacent. Everything's about him. He defines everything. He decides what's to be done and what's not to be done. It's like an outlaw. I mean, demons are outlaws, essentially. Prabhupada said there are always two kinds of living entities, law-abiding and outlaws. So, Vishnu Bhakta Smrita Daiva. The devotees are law-abiding. They abide by the laws of the Lord. And Asuras Tadviparyo, and the demons are just the opposite. They make their own laws. Just like you see with ordinary outlaws in the city, they make their own laws. They don't care what laws the state makes. Those are to be broken. And we just do what we like. We just do what we feel like. We do what our minds and senses tell us to do. And then we rationalize it. Yeah, the way they treat us, blah, 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 blah. And I got so much money anyway, blah, 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 blah. So they make their own laws. Therefore, they're outlaws. And impudent, same thing. The impudent young punks. They just thumb their nose at the cops and do what they... So the same sort of mentality taken to the cosmic level. And what do we care about God? Or we care very much about God, because I'm God and you're God. I'm God and you're my goddess. It's almost a parody of spirituality. We don't call it religion because religion's house, but it's spirituality. But what is this spirituality? It's all about me. It's all about my sense gratification. And it's all, what's the word? Evolved on my own. It's all developed on my own. Spiritual is, well, everybody has his own spiritual. But then it's lost. First of all, I'm lost. I don't know what's spiritual and what's material. I'm in ignorance. That's my problem. Why am I undertaking a spiritual path, a spiritual search? It's because I don't know what spiritual is. And then from the position of ignorance, I invent, I think we should go this way. I think we should go that way. I feel like everyone, blah, 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 blah. So this, in material, in ordinary affairs, you don't invent your own mathematics, invent your own anything, your own ruler. You know, well, my 12 inches and your 12 inches may not be the same because everyone has his own 12 inches, you know what I mean? And if that feels like a good 12 inches for you, you know, I don't want to intrude on your space. But then it becomes meaningless. It becomes meaningless. So their religion or their spirituality becomes meaningless because it's not following, it's not descending from the spiritual world. It's coming up from the material platform. So often they don't even know the basic thing, that the body and the self are different. And so the expressions of the body's, what's the word? Feelings, and the mind's feelings, that becomes spiritual. There's one very well-known American author, is a professor also, I believe, wrote a book called The Road Less Traveled. And because he's a psychologist, so he says in the introduction to his book that I think it's fair that the author set out from the beginning, where he stands, what his viewpoints are, what his presuppositions are. And my supposition, one of them is, that there's no difference between the mind and the self, and therefore no difference between psychology and spirituality. And he writes very well. He's a good author and does a good job. But this is a Bhagavad-gita chapter 2 blunder, to mistake the body for the self. In this case, the subtle body. We have the gross body, and then we have the subtle body of mind, intellect. And so he conflates the intellect or the mind with the self. And therefore, whatever your mind is, the mental platform becomes the spiritual platform. So this is Kali Yuga. And although people are very soft and sometimes very soft and very soft-spoken and very, they give off good vibes, but still this is a kind of conceit, that what we put together in our garage as spirituality, that's spirituality. And why is it a conceit? Because it disregards the personality of Godhead. Imagine, like, I come into your house and I start thinking, well, this chair is better off over here, and over here we'll do this and we'll do that, and I just kind of make myself at home and start taking over everything, and we could do, this is better this way and this is better that way, and we don't need this thing, we can just throw it out. Well, wait a second, you live here. Someone owns this house. And I've just moved in and started pretending that you don't even exist. It's your property, it's your property. And I come in and start saying this. Oh, and we're ignoring Krishna. He's the supreme proprietor. He's the supreme Shashvata Dharma Gopta, the eternal protector of spiritual principles. We just kind of walk in and say, well, actually, this could be thrown out and this would be better here. That's, even if we're soft-spoken about it, it's impudent. And if we're loud, it's still more impudent. But either way, it's impudent. So, Atmasambhavita, self-complacent, self-centered. Stabdha means obstinate. Punk. Real upstart punk. There's another word, like a twerp, a foolish little twerp, and you're just telling everybody off. Like the way young people, probably complained about it also, sort of the way young people are in these days toward their seniors sometimes. Come on, man, get off it. That's his father. In other cultures, you can't dream of speaking to your father that way. You can't dream of it. You have to be respectful. Honor thy father and thy mother. Judy, will you get off my back? That's his mom, you know. That's uncultured. And the same sort of uncultured mentality is assumed toward the Supreme Personality of Godhead. We can badmouth him, we could blame him for everything, and finally we can say he doesn't exist. And the expression is, while the cat's away, the rats will play. We explain away God by some arrogant theory, and then we can have fun. Prabhupada quoted a Bengali proverb. Anyone Bengali here? So what is that? Shakuni Shapa Goru Morena? Is that the right? Have I got it right? Shakuni means a vulture.
Yeah.
And Shap means a curse.
Yeah.
And Goru means a cow. Morena,
It doesn't die.
die. The vulture is flying in the sky, and for many, many days, he's not getting anything to eat. You know, the vultures don't, it's not like everybody's lining up to be eaten. So he's starving, but there he sees a cow below. And so he's cursing the cow, die, die, die. But does it mean that because the vulture is cursing, the cow has to die? So in this way, God is dead, there's no God, there's only matter. But God is not bound to disappear because we've got a philosophy in which he disappears. Finally, kalosmi lokakshaya krit pravriddho. The Lord appears as time and finishes us off. So, atma sambhavita stabdha dhana mana madanvita. Mada means delusion or madness, insanity. What kind of insanity? Dhana mana madanvita. He's absorbed in his wealth, his prestige, his aristocracy, his position. And we see that, especially in a city like New York. You can see people who, you know, they've got money and they know they've got money and everybody else knows they've got money. And you can just get out of the way or not exist. And if they've really got money, then the law is also in their hands. The newspapers are in their hands, whatever it is. They can use anyone and anything. Dhana mana madanvita. I was on an airplane one time, and in economy, and these 4 or 5 young fellows came like tearing through the cabin, you know, just tearing through, you know, hooting it up and wild and drunk, and later the cabin attendant came and apologized because they'd stormed in from first class. They were a rock band, Chicago, I think. Yeah. Yeah, and so they've got money, they've got fame, and you know, everyone else can adjust. We're having a good time. Dhana mana, those who have power also. They have military power or physical power. Then, you know, everyone get out of my way. So spirituality begins with amanitva, humility, pridelessness, adhambitva, freedom from arrogance. Very, what is that? Vetatvam somya tat sarvam tatvatas tadanugraha. Bruyu snigdhasya shishasya guruve guramapyuta. The sages at Naimisharanya said to Sutta Goswami, that you're in knowledge, you know the science of Krishna, because you've been blessed by your gurus who have bestowed upon you all the knowledge reserved for a humble and gentle disciple. A humble and gentle. Even take school. Any school teachers here? So which students do you like to deal with? The ones that say, hey, why do I have to learn this anyway? And, why do you think you know anything? Or the student who comes and says, I don't think I understand this. Could you explain this for me?
Much easier to deal with those.
Much easier to deal with that. You take an interest. You say, sure, you'll stay overtime to help a student like that. But the student who knows everything and knows that you're not worth anything, and he's like junk. You're, not exactly junk, but beyond help. Not too much you can do for him. Right? So the demons are so the spirituality means humble, gentle. After all, what do I know? So such a person can receive knowledge from real acharyas, from real enlightened souls, real devotees. But in Kali Yuga, mandasu mandamatayo mandapagya. Unfortunately, people are misled by so many cheaters. And how arrogant they are. I'm God. Back in the 70s, there was some young boy, and he was God. So he came from India. India exports gods and bicycles. And now IT professionals. But back then it was more gods. So, he was God, and his I forget, it was such an absurd thing, but he was God, and his brother was also some sort of God, and his mother was something, and they were all like a God family. Some journalist threw a pie in his face. God got a pie in his face. But such arrogance to just present yourself as God. Now he's nobody. He's finished. Nobody cares about him. Flash in the pan. But there's so many. India especially has God men, they're called popularly. They do some magic. They have some gold up their sleeve, or they can manifest a Rolex out of nowhere. My godbrother, P.R.E. Mohan Prabhu, in his day job is that he's a magician. Does magic shows for kids and parties and stuff. Pays the bills. So he saw a video of one of these God men from India doing wonderful things, producing ash and gold and Shiva lingas and all sorts of stuff. And he was watching, he said, he's not even a good magician. You can see how he does the tricks. He's not even a good magician, but he's God. Or else the humble ones, well, I'm not God, but my followers say that I'm God. Are you God? Well, my followers say that I'm God. That's like Prabhupada said, like smoking a cigarette through someone else's hand. When someone, what can I do? They say that I'm God. When a few of Prabhupada's misled followers in the early 70s said that Prabhupada was God, Prabhupada didn't throw up his hands and say, what can I do? He kicked them out. And until they straightened out, they were forbidden to speak in ISKCON anywhere. Prabhupada was clear that I'm not God, but I'm the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant of the servant. He said, more times you add servant, the better your position. The more times you add servant, the better your position. So that's a devotee. He doesn't want to be master, master, master. He's servant. Yajante nama yagyaiste. In Kali Yuga, people invent strange things, demonic things, satanic things, and this is supposed to be religion. Nama yagya is religion in name only. Dampena, again, out of pride, impudence. And avidhi-purvakam, especially Prabhupada stresses this word, avidhi-purvakam. Vidhi means the rules. There are rules for how to do things. Even in ordinary affairs, there are traffic lights and there are rules. But for the demons, avidhi-purvakam. They can do any kind of religious performance or anything without following the rules. More recently than the little god boy, there was another Bhagavan, as he was called at the time, who, teaching essentially, very popular, especially among the Westerners, because his philosophy, his spirituality is just whatever you feel like doing, don't hold back. Yeah, very spiritual, because you're spiritual. In fact, there was a Catholic heresy back in the medieval times. It was called I forget what it was called actually. But it was the same sort of thing. Some priests started preaching that God is divine. The soul is part of God, or soul is a manifestation of God. And therefore, for the pure soul to deny himself anything would be an offense to God. Mm. To deny yourself something, since you're divine, would be an offense to the divinity. Well, where does that lead? It leads to tremendous popularity. What sells better than sex? And especially when you can have it divine. I mean, you are God, and so you're entitled, and who's ever having sex with you is having sex with the ultimate divinity. I mean, this is a philosophy, I tell you. Well, the same thing goes on in other traditions also. And so this fellow in Bhagavan was teaching his people, don't hold back, because that's really not spiritual. And so he went on for some time, had a place in Pune, had, what were they called? Sannyasis. His people were called sannyasis. They all dressed in saffron, and they had little necklaces and medallions and aids, a lot of them. Because of it, not following the rules and regulations. Sannyasa is strict. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, as a sannyasi, was so strict. He wouldn't mix intimately with women. He wouldn't, practically his female followers were advised to offer respects from a little distance, because he's following a strict rule. The 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, they were all very strict on this. But now in present day Vrindavan, you get sannyasis, and they've got their sannyasinis. They don't follow the rules and regulations. And why not? Well, because they're experiencing bhava, or they've entered a higher world where these things are no longer required and all of that. That's called impudence. It's called impudence. I've ascended so high that I no longer need to follow. I'm above all that. We're above all that. So this is impudence. The Sanatana Goswami, who is so advanced, to find someone as advanced as Sanatana Goswami, it's practically impossible. But it's said, I think it was Sanatana, it was either Sanatana Goswami or Raghunath Goswami, one or the other, that his sadhana was so strict, his following of regulative principles was so strict that it was like a line in stone.
I think that was Raghunath.
Raghunath, right? Okay. Raghunath Das Goswami. His sadhana was so strict that it was like a line in stone. And he's the Prayojanacharya. He's the exemplar of love for Radha and Krishna on the highest realized platform. And he's following the regulative principles like a first-class neophyte. All the Goswamis, they were following the rules and regulations very strictly. Not to think, now we've been doing this for quite some time now, these rules don't apply to us anymore. Pride goeth before. Actually, the full quote is, pride goeth before destruction, and a haughty spirit before a fall. Yeah. So this is the enemy of civilized life, this pride, arrogance, false prestige, madness resulting from wealth and position. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu Trinadapi Sinuchena Turadapi Sishnana Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadhari. Who can chant Hare Krishna? The person who's humbler than the grass. Everybody walks on the grass, and the grass never turns around and says, "Who do you think you are? What gives you the right to walk on me?" The grass just doesn't protest. Grass is so humble. So Suni Chena means extremely humble, more humble than the blade of grass. And Tarora Pisahishna, more tolerant than the tree. People pick the flowers, they pick the fruits, they write their letters in the bark, they strip off the bark, they cut pieces off for firewood. And the tree never protests. The tree never says, "As for you, you can never sit under my shade again." So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says, one who's tolerant like the tree, humble, more humble than the grass. Amanina manadena, not seeking honor for himself, but honoring everyone else. Kirtaniya Sada, he can chant Hare Krishna always. Kaviraj Goswami says, make a necklace of this verse and keep it around your neck for constant remembrance. Doesn't literally mean you have to go out and have someone carve a necklace, but it means keep this instruction always with you. So this is actual divinity. And asuras tadviparyo, the demons are just the opposite. All right, so maybe I'll stop here and see what questions. Yes?
Hare Krishna Maharaj.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna.
I was thinking when you were talking about the asuras, about something I just recently experienced, just very fast. I was on the bus and this woman asked, "Oh, do you know the mother in the Bible?" She was talking about the Christian Bible. I said, "What?" And she flips through Genesis and says, it talks about we as plural. We created the world. So I went to one of her Bible study classes just to see, I was curious. She brought up in Revelation, we again. So stating that there is a mother in Christianity. And I was just like, I didn't see this the entire time I was Christian growing up. Wow, this is amazing. I'm like, this correlates with my studies and Hare Krishna being like Radha and Krishna. I was like, this is so beautiful. And she was like, yeah, actually, the mother is here now on earth. She's in Korea. And I was just like, you just totally lost me. You totally just lost me. No way. No, it was a beautiful thing, and it turned horrible so fast. It was. I was just like, wow, Christianity believes in Radha. She was like, yeah, you can only get to God through the mother, and I was like, yes, this is true. And she was like, yeah, she's actually living in Korea, and I was just like, no, I have to go. I literally just left that place and blocked the woman's number. That was it. But, I thought it was kind of interesting because it's just that they, so as it taking knowledge and twisting it to manipulate for whatever their cause is, It's like the Church of God, something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, they sent me something inviting me to speak at a conference, and they pay my way and all that. But India is diversified. They've gotten out of gods and into IT and other things. Not out of gods, they're still into it. And now Korea and other places are also producing gods. So
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking when you were saying about demons, Maharaj, that Krishna says, I'm the one who gives remembrance, knowledge, and forgetfulness. And those creatures definitely in forgetfulness, right?
Yes.
But what's the goal to have them here to set an example how not good to do? Like if he gives everything, why he gives them forgetfulness?
Why does God give them forgetfulness? Because they want it. Matasmritir jnanam apohanam cha. You want to remember me? I'll help you remember. You want to forget me? I'll help you forget. Yeyatam mam prapadyante tam statavijajam. As you deal with me, I'll deal with you. So Maya means forgetfulness. How could one possibly forget Krishna? One can forget because Krishna makes it possible. All right, if you want to forget me, if you insist on forgetting me, I'll cover you so that you'll go on forgetting me life after life.
And that's another question right here. In Bhagavad-gita it says that some souls can get mercy and have some association with a holy person and progress definitely right away, but some demonic creatures, they just bewildered life after life for eternity.
Murdha janmani janmani.
But is it like eternity, like they never will get out of there?
That's what Krishna says. Mam aprapyaiva kontiya tato yantyara mam gatim. They go down to the lowest. But even from the lowest, there's always it may take them millions of lifetimes, but they can come back again.
So it's a hope anyway.
Hmm?
It's a hope there anyway.
A hold?
Hope.
Yes, there's hope.
Okay.
Not abundant. And Krishna, he says, they never come to me.
Yeah.
But as far as I understand, never means that there's always the opportunity that Krishna can still be merciful to them.
Yeah, because that word was confusing me, like never.
Never means practically never, as far as I understand. Practically never. Again, because they don't want it.
Right.
They want to forget Krishna, and Krishna makes it possible. They want to act atrociously. Krishna lets them act atrociously and then get the results for their sinful activities.
Thank you.
Yes?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
A quick question. You mentioned that we're supposed to be like the grass on the floor and kind of like the bark on the tree where people can pick or write on us or anything. So how do we take the emotion of our nature out of all those obstacles? Like
That means developing a different mentality. Right now, if somebody looks at me cross-eyed, it's okay, who do you think you are? I'm ready to retaliate, respond, especially in the mode of passion. Everybody's like bristling with passion, and it's like, out of my way, and you sat in my seat. That was my place in the queue. Everybody's like, and nobody wants to give an inch. We all want. So, but that's the mode of passion and ignorance. In the mode of goodness, one is humble, one is gentle, one is tolerant, and this is one's nature. In the mode of ignorance, one just wants to sleep or be drunk or stoned and crazy. In the mode of passion, one wants to fight for advantage. And in the mode of goodness, one wants to cultivate knowledge. In that mode of cultivating knowledge, one becomes peaceful, one becomes gentle, one becomes tolerant, one becomes philosophical. Okay, you go ahead. We're all getting on the same plane. We're all getting on the same train. Just relax. Be tolerant. So it's not just, and so that comes by if one's practicing Krishna consciousness, one cultivates these qualities. Just like one is trained to offer respects to the spiritual master. Now, in the material world, who does that? In the ordinary material life, who wants to stretch his body out in front of someone else as an offering of respect? That's like, what? You have to do what? You're trained to do what? But in a tradition of knowledge, this is what you do. You offer respect to your teacher. Even in other traditions, there's some way of expressing respect for saintly persons and teachers and so on. So why do we do that? That's the quality of goodness. And even our godbrother Gargamuni, he was one of the first devotees. He was here at 26 Second Avenue. He said to Srila Prabhupada, Swamiji, even if we don't feel anything, should we still bow down before you? Prabhupada said, yes. Because that's training. By that training, one develops the mentality of being submissive, of being humble. So we don't want to just have the outward show, but we actually want to develop that mood of being humble, tolerant, offering respect. And sometimes it will be like, but the expression is grin and bear it. By practicing tolerance, we make advancement in tolerance. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Kaviraj Goswami, wear this verse around your neck. It's contrary to the conditioned nature, because we've come here to be on top. But if we, by hearing, by training, if we can become humble, if we can become at least a little humble. Humble. Sanatana Goswami was so humble. He was exceedingly advanced. But because he was born in a very high aristocratic Brahmin family, but he became a minister in the Islamic government, which meant back then in Hindu society that he was considered low class. So when he was living at Jagannath Puri, he would not go on the road in front of the temple, what they call the Singadwar, where the lion gate. He wouldn't go that way. One time he went to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and instead of going that way, he'd gone along the road on the beach. And in the summer in Puri, the road on the beach, that's like walking on copper, on hot copper, it's like exceedingly hot. But Sanatana Goswami said that, why did you come that way? Well, I didn't want to go by the Singadwar because I might contaminate the pujaris, the priests there. And he was thinking that way. It wasn't just, what kind of drama can I put on now? He was really thinking that, these are Jagannath's priests. And if I'm going in their vicinity, my presence will contaminate them. So that kind of abject humility, utter humility, is not easily attained. But at least we can try and be a little humble. Is that okay? Yes.
And thank you, Maharaj, for class. How do we balance that that humility with living in the material
Oh,
world
good.
and our jobs and dealing with
Yeah, I'm going to tell you another story, which I had in mind anyway, but you asked the perfect question to launch that story. Narad Muni once made a serpent into a devotee. There was a snake, and Narad Muni, he makes so many disciples, he made the snake a disciple. But like we say, we promise no initiating, no intoxication, no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling. And Narad Muni gave him, and don't bite anyone. Now you've become a devotee, don't bite anyone. So the snake became nonviolent, he wasn't biting anyone, but then the village children understood that the snakes become nonviolent, and so they were like throwing stones at him and torturing the poor snake. So then Narad came by again after some time, and how are you doing? Guru Maharaj, the problem is that the children are throwing stones at me and harassing me because they know that I won't bite them. So Narad Muni said that, yes, you shouldn't bite, but that doesn't mean you can't show your hoods as if you were going to bite.
Thank you.
Something else?
I have the same question. So.
You got the same question, okay. Then you get the same answer. Shall we? Oh, there's a hand there. It's a hidden hand. Yes.
I don't have much to say, but as a victim of injustice, that's come from what we're supposed to with complete trust and respect in.
You want to come up a little closer or speak a little louder? It's hard to hear you from back here.
I talked a lot because the breathing tube that wasn't used properly, and I have no recourse to this. And I've been told, not to talk too much about this, but I sit and I listen, and I just want to say that sometimes some people, on the topic of protest, that sometimes when we look back in the years, that would exclude any forms of even the people that were trying to, I guess you'd throw Martin Luther King in there too, because he was guilty of protesting,
Mhm.
So we can't really do that. But all I can say is that very quickly to wrap this up, that that people don't want me to talk too much about health things here, but in health things, I know we're in the Ayurvedic world.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't like the fact that medical people, the ultimate ripoff, the ultimate, something's gone, and I have explored everything. I just came from something that's supposed to help, where someone told me in good faith, you can have this test, you can have that test, you can have that test, we can get rid of your venous insufficiency, you're going to be able to walk again, and I never will again.
Mm-hmm.
And my question to you, as a spiritual teacher, is how does a man who has been working his whole life, paying his taxes, living a nice life, maybe he doesn't look the way society wants him to, or whatever, or I was listening very closely and intently, everything to accept, we know that this thing's called police brutality, we know that everything they do isn't right, so just to accept that blindly is going to be difficult, because I come from a more working class family, that wasn't really, in that, stretch of the world,
Mm-hmm.
and had various problems with things like that. But in the health world, a lot of these scoundrels are getting away with murder,
Mm-hmm.
and they're getting away with murder. And I have to know, as a visionary, as someone that can look into things, in medicine, it was just excluded because of someone's blind arrogance, and older, very older. So I figured in the last phase of this, I have to listen to this person because he's older, and something's going to happen to me. And if I don't listen, because I did refuse 3 times, and that's a form of protesting in a way. But when I did give in, I annihilated myself.
Mm-hmm.
So my question is, to enlighten me in some way, because I can't sit there in turmoil,
Mm-hmm.
and listen. And then if I ask a question, then certain, the people, they say, try to come here, and although you're dying, because of someone's surgical mistake, don't talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very difficult not to. That's a hard thing. We're on the topic of a gallbladder, you know, that wasn't supposed to be touched. You know, that could have healed. I've been to holistic doctors now. One of them started crying. You know, it was like really bad news. You know, they're like, you could have come to us earlier, you know, and now there's nothing we can do. We can't fix venous insufficiency. We can't fix peripheral arterial damage because some lunatic, you know, now another admitted that heparin to prevent blood clotting was not used in the procedure on a rheumatic heart patient. So to wrap this up very quickly, how do we ever sit in non-blind protest of such matters like that? How do we accept this? Like, in other words, a lot of people out there, you know, are propagating, you know, acceptance. You know, and that's good when it's something's like on a mental plane where, all right, the next day you're going to wake up and it's going to be a new world and you're going to be able to accept what's happened. But where it's something that you're just going to wake up and it's terminal and it could have been prevented and it's because of someone's, you know, stupid mistake. Right. How do we accept these things?
Srila Prabhupada once met a gentleman, he's one of our friends, who had been the victim of, you know, various kinds of rip-offs. And he was presenting his situation to Srila Prabhupada. And Srila Prabhupada said, why should you blame the instrument of your karma? Yeah, I understand. We want to say, you know, it was his fault. That so-and-so quack, rip-off, charlatan, negligent, whatever, should be, decertified and driven out of the profession and so on and so on. Number one, that doesn't help me. And number two, yes, this injustice has been inflicted upon me by such and such person or group, but they're acting as instruments of my karma.
But that doesn't offer solace to the, in other words,
no, it doesn't offer solace. It doesn't. It's not the most comforting. May or may not be the most comforting thought.
And if
but
all the people in this room here, you know, that haven't, you know, experienced that, then someone's going to say, not, well, I guess out of protest, you know, why me? You know,
right. But again, why me? It's because
he wasn't such a bad person.
Exactly. We're all good guys. We're all innocent.
I understand. I'm perfect and innocent,
but you know, we were never that mean or nasty.
No.
But when you look at the very long picture, in which we're living lifetime after lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, we have lifetimes of opportunity to be cruel, mean, foolish, arrogant, destructive, what have you. You know, as children, sometimes we're cruel, or sometimes as adults we're cruel or we're negligent. And sooner or later that comes back. As they say, out of left field.
Well, shouldn't punishment be metered in the way that a person has dealt it out? In other words,
exactly.
Like
but stop there, exactly. Now what if you're that person?
But then we enter into
understood. Hold on. Punishment should be meted out to those who've inflicted injustice. What if you are that person? And the suffering that you're getting now is the result of your past injustice that you inflicted.
I never inflicted that.
You never did. How do you know?
About my past life?
Yes.
That's a very abstract.
It's not abstract. It's real. You may not remember, but there's so many things I did when I was 6. I don't think I remember any of it. I was in the womb. I don't remember that for sure.
So that excludes forgiveness, and that excludes like where they say 2 wrongs don't make a right. In other words,
you were just arguing to me that there should be comeuppance, that those who've acted.
No, I'm just trying to follow what karma really truly means. In other words, that would mean where 2 wrongs don't make a right.
It's not wrong, but again, the person who supposedly acted wrongly is the instrument of your karma. He has acted wrong. That doesn't make it right, and in fact, that sets him up to suffer in the future for what he's done to you. But meanwhile, he acted as the delivery boy for something you did to somebody else in a previous life. It gets awfully complicated, but that's how it is.
Karma's a difficult one.
Excuse me?
It's a difficult concept.
It's a difficult concept because we're looking for somebody to blame so that we'll feel better. I have a friend. No, I don't have a friend. I grew up in the town I grew up with. I do still have a couple of friends, I'm sorry. But you'll see the context. I grew up in a little town in New Jersey, and a girl, I used to walk to school, and a girl who lived about 3 or 4 blocks from me in that direction was a very nice girl, good family, and so on, many good qualities. And later I found out, many years later, many years after I left school, that when she was going to college, her father and mother were driving her up to school along with her 2 sisters. And when along the highway, they had a flat, and the father got out to fix the flat, and the girls got out to help her. And some drunk guy came and mowed them all down while the mother was in the car. And, you know, it was typical guy with, I think, no insurance, and, you know, and what can it do? You know, you send him to jail for, you know, 100 years or something, but your family just got wiped out, just like that. And no amount of justice is going to set that straight or really make you feel a whole lot better. But that's the stringency of this material world. That the laws of nature are so strict, just like a child. You know, you have a nice little baby, and the baby sticks his hand out into the nice yellow fire, and that's it for life for his hand. Because the fire didn't say, well, wait a second, that's only a baby. And he's innocent, and I should forgive him. Or I should hold back. The laws of nature are so strict, you put your hand in the fire, it's going to get burned. No exceptions. I mean, yeah, okay, we can find an exception somewhere, but basically, that's how it works. And we can say it's unfair, or it's pointless, it's senseless, but that's how, therefore, Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master used to say that this material world is no place for a gentleman.
Well, all I can say to that is I you know, don't want to, like you said, good vibes, I don't want to make any bad vibes here, and I wasn't arguing with you. I'm just trying to say that we're living in such a corrupt, Kali Yuga, where you can't even walk into an operating room now and just lie there and say, hey, all right, fine, I accept your degrees, I accept everything you have to say, and as soon as you drop your guard, you become a dead man.
Exactly.
What kind of world is this?
That's the kind of world it is, exactly. We're on the same page. Krishna says it's a terrible world. It's Srila Prabhupada's spiritual master put it very well, that there's no place for a gentleman. You put yourself on the operating table, and the guy, you know, he's had one too many the night before, and does something stupid. There's so many. This person rips you off. That person rips you off. Rips you out. You know, rips you out, rips you off.
You can't fix
it. You know, I mean, find it. You know, that's the medical field. Then you get to insurance, where there's all sorts of scams. Then you get to education, where there's all sorts of scams. Then we come to name a field. You name a field, and there's somebody who sees this as a field of opportunity to gull these lawyers. Oh. Shakespeare, first thing we do, we kill all the lawyers.
How do we accept this without protest? Does that mean like a Protestant Catholic thing? In other words, he who protests is going to be branded Protestant?
No.
Catholic,
it's not a question of that. And they weren't protesting. They were protesting about something else. I mean, we can protest all we want, but the laws of nature are not going to change. The laws of nature are not going to say, listen, I understand that you left your raincoat at home because you already had so many other things, and that you were on a mission to help somebody by going from here to there. And therefore I'm not going to rain the daylights out of you. You know, I'm not going to rain till you're, and then blow cold wind on you and give you double pneumonia and all of that, because after all, you never hurt anyone in your life. It's that kind of world. Walk out the door. Any you know, let's leave aside drunk drivers. You know, somebody, he's swerving to. I had a friend who died because he swerved to avoid a deer. Whose fault? Who do you blame? Do you blame the deer? You know, but there it is. At every turn, the Bhagavatam says, padam padam yadvipadam. At every step in this world, there's potential calamity.
Have you ever encountered people, though, you know, that you will instruct, and they'll have difficulty, and they'll say, you know, karma is a difficult concept to carry because, you know, I mean, I'm here in the present form, and there's various forms of punishment. I mean, a parent can tell a kid, go sit in the corner, and that's your punishment. You know, to do this with someone, you can't eat the food that's put in front of you, and you're just going to slowly waste away. That's not a nice form of punishment.
It's not nice. Now, what will you do about it? What will you do about it?
That's why I'm asking you questions. I don't know what to do.
There's nothing you can do about it. There's nothing you can do.
I have no idea what to do.
You know, I'm not a medical man, but let's assume that your case is hopeless. There's nothing that can be done now to reverse the damage that's been done. So scratch that. You can't do that. You're not powerful. You're not going to take the guy to court and go through 5 years of 10 years of determined legal struggle and litigation. You're not going to do that. What power do you have? You start a Facebook campaign or something.
Well,
You're powerless.
Krishna consciousness teach someone. How do you ever feel better in that situation? You're not going to feel better.
Yes, you will. By understanding that this is the nature of this world. And because I've come to this world, I'm going to get hit. Who doesn't get old? And how nasty is old age? You know, the only people who don't get old are the ones who die young. But everyone else gets old. And old age it means suffering. Death means suffering. Whether it's death from whatever it is that you've got, the Latin went past me a little too quicker than I can get it, or whether it's some other cause, you know, someone it's AIDS, someone it's someone it's this, someone it's that, someone it's cancer, someone it's pulmonary failure, someone it's renal failure, someone it's some other failure. Everyone dies, everyone suffers. Yeah, how, you know, okay, you're suffering from this. How do you think the mother of that girl that I knew felt? She's sitting in her car one moment, driving with her family up to a nice college so that the girl can attend her first or whatever semester, and the next minute her whole family's wiped out. Just like that. And you know, and what can you do?
And you know, someone say to me that I have no pity for you. I don't care. You know, and that kind of coldness, I would think, would bring karma into someone's next life.
I understand. You know, naturally we should be sympathetic to our...
Or empathetic, not so much take out the violence and feel sorry.
Take empathetic. But just to... Srila Prabhupada had an expression, blow on a boil to make it better. Or, you know, like for little kids, it's, let me kiss it and make it better.
Right.
Right? Your mom said that? Let me kiss it and make it better. So that's nice, that maybe it works for little boo-boos, but it doesn't work for conditioned life. There's no kiss it and make it better.
Well, it's just the frustration. I'll leave them this note and I'll go back with it. But the frustration that I have to deal with is the fact that I could have just stayed with an internet and actually been a lot healthier that way.
I understand.
As soon as I introduced
Could have been, but you couldn't have been.
I'm just saying,
Because that's karma. The girl's mother the father could have driven off half an hour later, 10 minutes later, and everything would have been fine. It never would have happened. But they couldn't. They had to leave exactly at that time. That driver had to be there exactly at that time. It was inescapable because of the laws of karma. And there's nothing that can be done. like the expressions, you can't fight City Hall. There's nothing you can do against the laws of karma. They're going to work. The fire is going to burn. Ice is going to freeze. Karma is going to give suffering to every living being. And I understand that it's difficult. I understand that it's extremely difficult. I understand that we look and we say, why did this have to happen to me? And what kind of injustice is this? But it's not reversible. And we don't help ourselves by looking for a material solution or a material counteraction. We help ourselves by saying, this is what I get for being in this material world where I do not belong. Yadvipadam natesham. Krishna says, the world where there's danger at every step is not the place for us. The world that we belong in is the spiritual world, where the body is not subject to pain, where it's not subject to material conditions, where there's perfection. That is the right place to be. And so why should I stay here grousing about my situation when it's all, that doesn't make me feel better either. What makes me feel better is getting out of conditioned life altogether, getting out of this material world and being restored to my real condition. You're speaking about an unhealthy condition. The problem is that material life is an unhealthy condition. Having a material body is an unhealthy condition. The fact that we've got it, and you're suffering the result of having a body. As I must, as you must, as everyone must. That you can cure. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Ene Cheya Shodhi Maya Nashi Bralagi. I brought the medicine. What medicine? Cure for cancer? Cure for diphtheria? No. I brought the medicine that will cure the disease called Maya. The disease of material life. Harinam Maha Mantra, loud to me, Magi. Here's the medicine. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. Loud to me, Magi. Just take it, please take it.
My parting statement is that I feel a certain amount of protest is necessary in this crazed world, because as soon as you drop your guard and accept full authority, you fall right into that trap. Now, if you have a certain level of protest still in the heart, and you say, this authority is false authority, and it's not going to help me, then all the trouble begins.
Everyone has a tendency to protest against Maya.
But then wisdom has to come in to know what to protest against.
Therefore we come to Krishna consciousness, to surrender to Krishna, to defy the material energy. Thank you.
It's a difficult topic.
I understand that it is, and thank you for your questions. All right, we can stop here, I think. Yeah, it's getting late.